Hi guys, I welcome you on my live webinar. Before we start, we have to wait a little bit um, because we have to wait for other people to join us. And before everybody join us, I want to share some news with you. But before this, let's talk about the primary goal of this webinar. Today we are going to talk about direct methods of inducing lucid dreamings, out-of-body experience, and so on. So the primary goal today is to talk about how to enter a lucid dream just by uh, immediately when you lay down in your bed. But before this, let's just wait for other people, for other guys. And before this, I'm going to share some news with you. First of all, I'm going to share with you my experience on my live seminar in Rome. It happens approximately 10 days ago, and it was quite unusual because I have to lead it in English, but it was needed to translate in Italian, and actually I had just twice less time as I usually have during my seminars. But it was quite interesting because a lot of people, approximately 70, 80 people, were attending this seminar in Rome. And first of all, I want to say thank you for people who organized, for organizers of this event, because it was pretty good. And the second thing that it was obvious that in Italy, maybe in other countries, in Europe, in other countries, uh, other regions, there's still a lot of work to do in this practice, because it is obvious that in Italy there aren't many practitioners who could share some experience with me. Most of them were newbies, and I hope that maybe during the next few years there will be much more practitioners in Europe, in other regions, who will be able to share with me their experience. Hi, Delphin. Hi, Andrei, Marianne, and others. For example, I know that there are a lot of practitioners in France, and Delphine is one of them. So I'm glad to see you here. And I'm once again, thank you for making so huge contribution to our project. I mean, Elijah project, because you were the first in the English division who were able to accomplish all the tasks. Thank you, Colby. Before we start, let's just talk about some other stuff, and then we are going to talk only about direct method. So, as you may know, approximately 6 months ago, we were making a survey in Moscow, just in Moscow streets. We asked 1,000 people about lucid dreaming, sleep paralysis, out-of-body experience, etc. And by this moment, I finally find some time to work on this project, to work on this data. And I finished this Scholar article. And of course, it needs some time to work on it, but now I'm going to share with you just some data. First of all, 89% of all people said that they have had at least one lucid dream, out-of-body experience, sleep paralysis, or false awakening during their life. So it means that the phase state is very widespread. And the more important thing that approximately 37% of all the people are experiencing this. They have been experiencing this state very often. So it's not just happened for them; it's a real life for them. For 37%, it's a lot. Don't forget that they were ordinary people, passers-by on the streets. They had no idea about the techniques we are going to talk about here. So it's quite widespread for ordinary people. And some other data. It's obvious that that more age, less phases you have. For example, people from 11 to 20 years old are leading in all directions. For example, for 33% of them, the phase state is natural. Not just natural, it happens often for them. Overall, for 91% of them, 91% of them are familiar with the phase state. I mean, lucid dreaming, sleep paralysis, etc. And 43% have been experienced it often. And the worst case, if you're 50 years and older, in this case, just over 70% of these people have had at least one experience with the phase, and just 28% have been experiencing the phase often. So for people 11 to 20 years old, it's 43%. I mean, experience the phase often, just 28% for people over 50. Another data. Let's talk about some specific parts of the phase state. For example, lucid dreaming. At least 71% of people have had at least one lucid dream in their life. So you can ask 10 people on the street, and 7 of them may have had at least one lucid dream in their life. And for 23%, of them, it's been an ordinary thing. It happens for them often. When we talk about sleep paralysis, just 24% have had at least one experience with sleep paralysis. But for 3%, it's been happening a lot in their life. When we talk about fake awakenings, there are 45% of population who have had at least one false awakening in their life, and for 7%, it's been happening a lot. When we talk only about out-of-body experience, 48% have had at least one experience, and 60% have been experienced a lot of our out-of-body experience. Of course, this data isn't correct for any regions. I bet that even in Russia, it could be different in other regions, in other cities. But when we look at these figures, we can imagine how it is widespread around the world. And the things we are going to discuss here aren't unusual. They're just normal, and we're going to discuss just how to control them, but not just about some mystic experience. Some other figures. We see that in every situation, when we talk about specific, when we talk about the phase state, or its parts like lucid dreaming, sleep paralysis, etc. Women are more. Women have much more predisposition for this. Almost every time they get it, maybe 10, 20, 30 times more often than men. So it's obvious that women have much more predisposition for the phase state. And it is obvious that more you sleep, more chances you get into the phase. But that's not all. When you sleep not enough, less than 6 hours, you may get a lot of lucid dreams, sleep paralysis, etc. So it means that the phase state could be considered like some sort of sleep disorder. So because it happens when you don't sleep enough, or you sleep over, or you oversleep. When you sleep normally, it happens less. So when you don't control it, when you don't practice it, it may happen to you in forms of sleep disorders. So all these figures mean that the topic we are going to discuss here is familiar almost to all people around the world, and I hope that you understand that there's no reason to think that when you encounter something like out-of-body experience or sleep paralysis, it's something unusual. Actually, it's normal stuff for all the people around the world. Once again, thank you for being here. We have to wait a little bit, and then we'll start our lesson just maybe in a few minutes. But the main goal today is to talk about direct method, about the direct techniques, how to enter lucid dreaming or out-of-body experience directly without, for example, sleeping, etc. But wait a little bit, and then we'll start. Guys, I have a question. What's about the quality of this stream? Because I've been trying new platform, and and a few hours ago it was a total disaster when we tried to make it in Russian, because the quality was extremely bad, and many other problems. So give me a sign how you can see me or hear me. I just needed to know this in the comment section. I see all your comments. Thank you, Peter. Just give me a sign how you can see me or hear me. Is it good or bad? Because I have no idea right now, because I can see me properly, but maybe you cannot have the same. Okay. Maybe we try something else. Pixelation. Yes. What about this moment? Because maybe it could be a little bit better. I'm sorry for this, but it's just the first time. I know that the sound should be right, but I hope you could see me well too. Here, pixelation. Okay. Anyways, it seems it's much better, because a few hours ago it was a total disaster, and people only could hear me. I was a pixel. I was like a huge pixel, something like this. So, anyways, you don't need to see something special, because the most important thing will sound for you. You will hear them, but you won't see them. So I hope that this lesson will be very useful for you, because we are going to discuss a very interesting topic, and every practitioner need to know this, because even if you should not try it when you're a newbie, I know that all the practitioners try to perform direct methods. That is why we have to talk about this anyways. So let's wait just a few more minutes, and if you have questions, you may put them just right now. I see them all, and on YouTube, on Facebook, it makes no difference. I see them all. We see people from around the world, from Russia, Ukraine, Venezuela, France, Colorado, California, and many other countries. So, some questions. The question about direct methods, should we try it very often? Just wait a bit. I'm going to discuss all things related to this topic. So just wait a little bit, and you will know maybe more of them. In Denmark, Johnny, I'm glad to see you again. Okay, let's start. Once again, I have to remind you why I lead these webinars. The first goal is to make you know about our projects, about motivating you to perform more attempts in our project. I mean, Project Elijah. If you don't know about this project, it's a project where we unite experienced practitioners of lucid dreaming and out-of-body experience. We give them specific tasks to research topics regarding how to control the phase state, how to use it, how to deepen it, how to maintain it, how to enter the state. It works in Russian and in English, and we have accomplished more than 10 experiments by this moment, approximately 13 or 14, and we've been receiving data for approximately 40 more experiments, and now I work on scholar articles about these experiments, so most of them will be published in scientific journals. And just wait a bit, we are making another step, and now we get all the data, and now we ready to publish it. I mean, not just articles that you can read on my website, on our social media. I mean, real scientific articles that should be published in peer-reviewed journals. So lead these webinars to support this project, and the first day is for free. Everybody can watch it, can participate in it. If you will be interested in this topic, and if you will want to participate in this webinar, because it will take 3 days. Today is just the first day. You need to register in Project Elijah, and we will make the second and third day on this project. But today we're going to discuss all the basic information about direct method. So before we start, let's talk about how these lessons look. Today, I'm going to discuss you all the basic information about the direct method. Then you try it by yourself when you fall asleep at, at night, in the morning. You make attempts, and tomorrow, if you participate in during the all 3 days, tomorrow we will make you will need to make a report. I will read it and analyze it and give you more information and advices about how to perform this method. It helps us to get real results during our webinars between these lessons. And before we start, one another thing we have to discuss, it's about the phase topic itself, because I understand that some of you have no idea what we are going to talk about right now, because you may think that lucid dreaming have no correlation with out-of-body experience and so on. What is the phase state? The phase state is a specific situation when you become conscious while REM sleep. Every single situation when you're conscious during REM sleep is the phase state. For example, when you become conscious while dreaming, it is the phase state because you are conscious and you are in a dream. We see real vivid dreams in REM sleep. So if you're conscious in a dream, you are in REM sleep and you are in the phase state. When you experience sleep paralysis, it is the phase state too, because you are conscious and you are paralyzed. Sleep paralysis is a mark of REM sleep. Our nature, our brain needs sleep paralysis to block our movements during dreaming. So sleep paralysis, we can experience sleep paralysis or only during REM sleep. So when you are conscious and experience sleep paralysis, you're conscious and you're in REM sleep, you are in the phase. The same thing refers to false awakenings. Actually, false awakenings are lucid dreams or out-of-body travels, but without understanding what's going on. For example, you may get up from your bed and experience an out-of-body travel, and you understand what's going on. But if you get up and it looks for you like you usually get up, it is a false awakening. But actually, the difference is your understanding of the situation. So the phase state includes sleep paralysis, lucid dreaming, out-of-body experience, false awakening. Actually, any unusual situations that may happen to you during falling asleep or awakening could be the phase state. And today we are going to discuss how to do this. But the phase state, it's not just an amazing phenomena. First of all, you should understand that when you are in the phase, your perceptions are real. You can touch everything, you can scrutinize everything, you can experience pleasure, you can experience pain. For example, in one of our experiments from Project Elijah, we ask people to punch a ball in the face and then wake up and check for real pain. And approximately 70% of people were able to achieve pain in the face, and approximately 25, I don't remember, approximately 25% were able to maintain pain in reality upon awakenings. So it's not just real. We have very strong psychophysiological correlations between actions in the face and between actions in the face in your physical body. This topic is going to be discussed a lot, and we've been performing a lot of experiments in this direction. But now you should know that it's not just an amazing experience. It is so real, and sometimes when you wake up from the phase, the reality looks like a dream in comparison with the sensations you experienced in the phase. So in some terms, the phase state is more real than reality. That is why it is so amazing, and that's why I've been practicing it for almost 20 years. And the only reason for this that I, I just didn't see anything better than this. And that's the reason why the phase state is my life. And I think that in the future, we will get much more from this state. We will use it. Even now, you can use it. For example, you can journey in the phase, you can meet anybody in the phase, even deceased people. I'm not talking about real souls. I'm talking about your perceptions. Uh, from point of view of your perceptions, you can meet there anybody, and it is for real. It's real. So you can see each other in reality. You can travel there. You can obtain information from there. It's another topic to discuss. You can influence your physiology in the phase. So it's not just entertainment. You can use it for real purposes of your real life. And before you have a chance to use it somehow, you need to know how to induce the phase state. And actually, that's the goal of our today's lesson. We have three primary methods for inducing the phase state. We don't talk about any chemical substances or herbs or mushrooms or pills to induce phase state, or close to it phenomena. It is totally forbidden for me, and I see no reason to use any external supplements if you can't do it by yourself. Moreover, I think that you can improve yourself, you can make you better, you only by making it by yourself, because only in this situation you get something new in your brain, you get new abilities and new tasks. That is why it is highly important to be able to induce the state by yourself without any external help. Of course, in the future, we will get some devices that will help us to get into the phase just in 1 minute. But for this moment, it is much more easier to induce it by yourself. So we have three primary ways to induce the phase state. The first one is becoming conscious while dreaming. There are a lot of ways how to train your consciousness, your brain, to be able to get conscious during a dream scene. But we won't talk about this today. And actually, you don't need it, because some of you will be able to become conscious during this night, even if we don't talk about this, because motivations that you may get from this video, from this stream, will help you to experience some spontaneous lucid dreams. If you if you need techniques and methods of becoming conscious while dreaming, you can download my practical book, The Phase, and check all the methods. Usually, during my lessons, I talk about the indirect methods, and it is very important to start your practice by the indirect techniques. Indirect method is a method of entering the phase state upon awakeness, because long story short, when you wake up, you are in a proper physiological state, and that is why upon awakening it is so easy to enter the phase state. But today we are going to talk about the direct techniques. These techniques are performed when you fall asleep. Why it is so hard? Actually, it's like a black belt in karate. So if you are able to enter the phase state by direct methods, you're a highly advanced practitioner. But why is it so hard? Why newbies shouldn't even touch this method? Because physiologically, it's very hard to induce. But we are going to talk about it right now and today and tomorrow and the day after tomorrow, because I know that most of you try the direct techniques anyways. That is why I'm going to share almost all I know about this method with you, because even if it's forbidden for you, even if you are a newbie, I know that you are going to try it. I know that you've been trying this, and you need to know how to do it properly, and it will help you a lot. What's the problem with the direct techniques of inducing lucid dreaming and out-of-body experience? The problem is our physiology. When we fall asleep, we have to enter in one stage, it is non-REM sleep, then N2 stage, then N3 stage, then N2 stage again, and N1 stage again, and then after these steps, we encounter REM sleep. So for our brain, when we fall asleep, it is impossible to enter REM sleep, but we are in the phase only during REM sleep. So our brain needs at least 80, 70, 90 minutes to be able to enter into REM sleep. That's the problem. So before REM sleep, when you fall asleep, you have to experience 5 stages, 5 steps, 3 stages and 5 steps, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 2 and 1, and then REM sleep. That's the problem. And people who are aware about these cycles, they usually don't believe in the direct techniques at all because it looks impossible. But look, we know that it is possible because I know my experience, and I have a collection of direct of the phase with the direct techniques. And when you talk with practitioners, you see it's possible because a lot of people have been experiencing the phase even spontaneously by direct method. So even though we have to fall asleep by avoiding REM sleep, it happens to people, and it happens a lot. It happens even spontaneously. What's the problem? The problem is that actually it's not as easy as it seems. And although when we look at sleep cycles, it is impossible to get into REM sleep immediately after falling asleep. I can list a few options when it is possible, and it is scientifically proven. The first one refers to any of you. Maybe you don't know, but when you were an infant, I mean till 1 year old, you were falling into REM sleep immediately every time when you fell asleep. And so for infants, REM sleep is natural during falling asleep. It lasts much longer, up to 40 minutes. I don't remember right now, but it lasts a lot. For when we were infants, we entered REM sleep every time when we fell asleep, and it lasted a lot. For example, during your normal sleep cycles, it lasts just a couple of minutes or 20 minutes, maybe a little bit more or less. But when we were infants, it lasted a lot. So the first thing, that's the ability to enter REM sleep immediately when falling asleep. This ability is inborn, or we all had it in our history. So there's something in our brain that knows how to enter REM sleep immediately when we fall asleep. So this is the first option. The second option, it is scientifically proven as well, that when we are sleep deprived or we are too exhausted mentally or physically, we have a lot of chances to enter REM sleep immediately during falling asleep. It doesn't happen all the time, but you have a lot of chances to enter REM sleep much quickly if you're sleep deprived or you're exhausted. So this is the second option. The third option is narcolepsy. It's an inborn genetic thing, and some people suffer from this. It looks like they fall asleep without any reason, any moment during the day. And it is scientifically proven that they very often fall, most of the time, as I remember, they fall asleep. They just don't fall asleep. They fall asleep in REM sleep. So for people, for narcoleptic, it is quite normal to induce REM sleep immediately. And there's a research, you can find it online, where narcoleptics and experienced lucid dreamers were compared. And narcoleptics were much more successful in lucid dreaming than experienced practitioners of lucid dreaming. And it's obvious that it is much more easier to research lucid dreaming on narcoleptics, because they enter REM sleep immediately. That's a problem for them, but for us, it's our goal. So now you understand that entering REM sleep while falling asleep could be natural in some way or another. And just understanding of this situation may help you a lot, because when you see those sleep cycles, when you have to miss REM sleep in the beginning, you lose your motivation because it looks impossible, but actually it is possible. And maybe you've heard a lot of stories about people who were able intentionally or unintentionally to enter the phase state just right after falling asleep. So it is possible, it happens, and all we have to discuss here is how to do this. So once again, if you're a newbie, of course, it's not the best way to start your practice, but I know that you're going to try it a lot. I mean, the direct techniques, that is why you have to know them. So there should be some ways to trick our brain, and by these tricks, we should be able to enter REM sleep consciously during falling asleep. Actually, I know at least maybe 4 or 5 ways, and 2 of them we are going to discuss right now. The first one is the easiest one, and we won't talk about it a lot, but you will need to try it tomorrow. I mean this night, in a few hours. So the first thing is to try direct methods in the morning. For example, today, before you fall asleep, you have to set your alarm clock approximately at 6 a.m. For example, when you fall asleep at 12, you have to set it, for example, at 6 or 7 a.m. Then when you wake up, you should do some business, like drink some water, go to restroom, recall your plan of action for the phase state. And then when you fall asleep, you should start techniques immediately. We are going to discuss these techniques right now in a few minutes. So why it works? What's the trick? The more you sleep, the less your brain needs non-REM sleep. So approximately after 4 or 5 cycles, full cycles of sleep, they all last for 90 minutes approximately. So after 4 or 5 cycles of sleep, your brain is ready to enter REM sleep immediately because it doesn't need non-REM sleep anymore. So if you set your the alarm clock at 6 in the morning, you wake up, you do some stuff, and then you fall asleep again, for example, in 5 or 10 minutes, you have a lot of chances to experience the phase state immediately. And that's the reason why on my live seminars, people experience direct method although they shouldn't try it, because they just don't understand that they need to fall asleep in the morning again. But they don't fall asleep. They try techniques when fall asleep, and it works. It works because our brain does not need non-REM sleep in the morning. Maybe in one sometimes, but in the morning we sleep in REM sleep a lot. So the first way to trick our brain is to get rid of non-REM sleep, just to sleep it over, sleep it out. I have actually I don't know how to say this properly. So to sleep it, to sleep all non-REM sleep. And in the morning, our brain is ready to fall asleep in REM sleep immediately. But that is the easiest way how we can trick our brain. And it's not very amazing for you because you want to get into the phase right now, not in the morning, but right now when you fall asleep. I bet that you're going to try to enter the phase just maybe in 1 or 2 hours when you will fall asleep. Now, let's talk about this situation. And now we have a very heavy problem. When we fall asleep, we are in wakefulness. And that's the problem. The phase state is not some kind of meditation or trance or imagine or something like this. The phase state actually is REM sleep, and you cannot induce it just by your wish or some simple actions, because it requires dozens of processes in your brain to induce REM sleep. You cannot just say I want to get REM sleep. Just use some magic trick, some technique, and to enter REM sleep. You cannot change your physiology so easily. That's the problem, but we have a solution for this. Before we talk about this solution, we should talk about some preliminary things. For example, first of all, don't forget that you should set your alarm clock, for example, at 6 in the morning, because you will perform the direct techniques in the morning too. So you have at least 2 chances to enter the phase by tomorrow afternoon, when you fall asleep and in the morning. And you will try 2 different ways to trick your brain. The second way, the first way we've already discussed. It's about just try to enter the phase in the morning when your brain don't need non-REM sleep. But now let's talk about getting to the phase during falling asleep at night. First of all, it's your body, is position of your body. There is no specific position. You may wonder what exact position you should take when you fall asleep and when you want to enter the phase state. There's no specific way of how your body should look like in your bed. But there's a way how you can choose your position, the position. For example, if you fall asleep and you feel yourself too awake, so your conscious is active and you're too awake, just take a comfortable position. And it will help you not to fall asleep quickly. And if you are too sleepy when you want to perform direct method, just take an uncomfortable position. So that's the reason to choose this position before you start, because sometimes people just take a specific position in any ways, in any situation, but actually there's no sense in it. So once again, if you feel yourself too sleepy, just take an uncomfortable position. If you are too awake, just take a comfortable position. For example, for me, an uncomfortable position on my back. I cannot sleep well on my back. And when I'm too sleepy, I take this position because it helps me to find something between awakeness and sleep. Don't forget that you can change the position any moment. Some people believe that they should not change body position during an attempt. It is totally forbidden for newbies. They think so, but actually there is no reason. You can change your position. Maybe it will help you. For example, if I am too awake and I take a comfortable position on my back, but in a couple of minutes, I start to feel that I'm falling asleep. I'm too sleepy. I may become too sleepy. In this situation, it is normal to change my position. It will help me to not fall asleep. So keep in mind that you may change your body position any moment. The second issue here is how long you should perform a direct attempt. People prefer to perform attempts for hours, or at least till it works. It's a huge mistake. It's one of the primary mistakes you may make. Just try the direct techniques no more than 15, maybe 20 minutes. 10 to 15 minutes is okay. First of all, you should understand that if you do everything right, it should work during this period of time. Of course, it may work after this, but look, you may spend so much time and efforts for what? When your attempts are not successful, you may lose hours and hours for nothing. 10, 15, 20 minutes is enough. If it doesn't work, try it next day. There's no reason to try it more. And if it doesn't work during this period of time, it means you do something wrong. And if you do something wrong, what's the sense? What sense in doing this longer? You're doing something wrong. Don't prolong this situation. So 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes is enough for any direct attempt. It refers when you try it when fall asleep or in the morning, it makes no difference. 10, 15 minutes is enough, and it should work during this period of time. If you make it more, you may get insomnia, you may ruin your sleep at all. And don't forget that more you sleep, more phases you can get, more experiences you can get. So please don't make tonight's attempt for more than 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes. So keep it in mind. There's no sense. It's much better to fall asleep and try, for example, during awakenings or tomorrow, but not today, just 10, 15, 20 minutes. What techniques you should use during your attempts? Actually, any. You may use any techniques or none of them. Actually, the simplest way to enter the phase directly is to try to fall asleep in uncomfortable position. Sometimes it is the easiest and simplest way to induce the phase state. You will understand it why just in a few minutes, but actually it could be solved. You may just take an uncomfortable position for your sleep and try to fall asleep, and you will get those lapses in consciousness that we are going to discuss a little bit later. The reason why you can choose any technique is because during direct methods, there's no all these techniques. They play a different role here. You will get into the phase not by these techniques. These techniques will help you to be conscious, or they may help you to be sleepy. So during a direct attempt, you need techniques just for 3 situations. To fix your consciousness. For example, when you perform a technique, it helps you to maintain your consciousness. The second reason, if you're too awake, it may help you to be sleepy. For example, you perform just one very passive technique and it helps you to get sleepy. And the third reason why we need techniques here is that these techniques may help you to understand that you are in the phase. For example, when you try the phantom wiggling technique, when you try to move your arms without using muscles, if it works, if your arm moves freely, it means you're on the phase. Till it moves freely, you are not in the phase. So you may use any techniques, but you should understand that you use them not for enter the phase, but you use them just to help yourself to enter, to exit, to enter the phase, to induce it. Let's talk about just 3 techniques here. You can find a lot of them, more than 40 in my practical guidebook, but now let's talk just about 3 of them. For example, we may discuss observing images, the observing images technique. In this case, you try to look in front of your eyes, but without opening them, and try to see some images. Usually, in a couple of minutes, you start to see images. Then they start to be more complicated till becoming scenes or dreams. And the second technique is the rotation technique. In this case, you should try to rotate to the left or to the right in your head, trying to achieve vestibular sensation of rotation. And the third technique could be, for example, the hands visualization technique or hands rubbing technique. In this case, without opening your eyes, without moving your arms, you try to imagine your arms in front of you when you try to see them and hear them and feel them in front of you. Feel, see, hear. Just let's talk about these 3 techniques as an example. Once again, you can use any technique. You may imagine, you may create any of them. You may take it from any source. And you need some separation techniques. It could be getting up, roll out, or levitation. In all these cases, you should try to perform an actual movement of your physical body, but without using muscles. For example, you may try to get up physically, but using your muscles, roll out, try to roll out physically, but without using your muscles, or levitate as if you are able to levitate. And when we talk about separation techniques, actually it's a huge problem here because you don't feel separation when it works. You feel an actual movement. That is why you should try to move by yourself without using your muscles. And during the right moment, when you will be in REM sleep, it will work. It doesn't work now because you're fully conscious, you're in wakefulness, and you cannot move without your muscles. But in the phase state, it is possible, and that is why that's how you may understand that you're in the phase. So we've discussed what position you should take in your bed. We've discussed how long you should perform an attempt. We've discussed just a few of techniques. And now let's talk about your actual actions, about your real actions during an attempt. For example, what you should do just in a few hours or minutes when you fall asleep. If you noticed, we talk about something between awakening and sleep. We take a position of our body, something that will help us to be more sleepy if we are awake, or more awake if we are too sleepy. We cycle our techniques actively if we are too sleepy. It helps us to be more awake. We focus just on one technique if we are too awake. It helps us to be sleepy. So we need something in between. We should not be very awake. We should not fall asleep. We should take a position somewhere between. Why? because we are talking here about lapses in consciousness, you cannot induce the phase state during fallen asleep without uh, lapses in your consciousness, breaks in your consciousness. Actually, it may happen, but you should try to get these lapses in consciousness, because you will act in the proper direction. And why it works? Don't worry, we are going to discuss it just in a few minutes. But why it works? How we trick our brain in this way? Why these lapses in consciousness when we are somewhere in between awakeness and sleepness and sleep? Why it works? When we start to lose our conscious, for example, in the beginning of an attempt, for example, let's imagine that I'm observing images. I start to see some images, and then my consciousness start to fade a little bit. Then it's back because I'm in uncomfortable position, for example. So my position does not let me to fall asleep. But images lead me in sleep, but my position blocks it. So I see images, I start to see images, then I lose my consciousness a little bit, and I'm awake. I try to separate, get up without using muscles, levitate. It doesn't work. I start to observe images again. And I start to see some images, and my consciousness starts to fade away again. And in this time, I try to lose my consciousness a little bit more. Then images become much more vivid and complicated. And then I wake up again because I'm in an uncomfortable position, for example. In this case, I try to separate again. It doesn't work. I try to get another lapse in my consciousness, but this time much deeper lapse in consciousness, much longer and deeper break in my consciousness. And the deeper these breaks in consciousness, the more chances I get into the phase when I'm back from these lapses. Why? Why it happens? Because by these lapses in consciousness, we emulate sleep cycles, short sleep cycles. And our brain can be tricked by this. So it looks like a short sleep cycle. If you remember, we experience REM sleep at the end of it, of any ordinary sleep cycle. So we just create short cycles of sleep. And the deeper, the more you lose your consciousness, the deeper these lapses, the more chances you get into the phase upon awakening. You may ask me, Michael, how we can understand that we are in the phase? I mean, when we are back from this lapses in consciousness. Actually, it's not a big question, because you will feel it for sure. You will understand that something is wrong. You may hear some noises. You may experience vibrations and so on. And actually, in most of the cases, it is quite obvious that you are in the phase after these lapses in consciousness. But anyways, you should try to separate every time you're back from a lapse in consciousness. For example, you miss your consciousness and you wake up and you try to get up, levitate, or roll out. That is how you may understand that you're in the phase, because when you're in the phase, these attempts to separate will work. That is why you should try to separate every time you are back from these lapses in consciousness. So your goal is to achieve as many lapses in consciousness as possible, and during 15 minutes. Then if it doesn't work, just fall asleep. Maybe you will be able to catch awakenings during the night. For example, if you wake up, just try the same techniques, try to separate, and sometimes maybe it will work for you this night, tonight, and be ready for spontaneous lucid dreaming, for spontaneous situations when you become conscious while dreaming. And every time when you get into the phase, just perform your plan of action. If you're a participant of Project Elijah, you should remember your task, because we test everything related to this phenomenon. If you don't have it, just try to see a mirror, just try to find a mirror and try to see your reflection in it, and then try to eat something. For example, if you don't have your personal plan of action, I just suggest you what you should do. Then in the morning, when your alarm clock went off, you should get up for a few minutes, then get back in your bed and try the same lapses in consciousness again. So, for example, in 1 hour or two, when you fall asleep, get a comfortable position if you are very awake, or uncomfortable position if you are too sleepy, and start to perform techniques. If you are too sleepy, just take 2 or 3 techniques and cycle them by 1 or 2 minutes. If you're too awake, just take one technique and it will help you to be more sleepy. And maybe in a few minutes, actually it's easy, it can be trained. In a few minutes, you will start to feel that your consciousness fades away. And maybe, for example, for me, if I'm not very sleepy, I can achieve the first lapse in consciousness just maybe in 3 to 5 minutes. Then it starts very often, every minute. And my goal here is to make these lapses deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And every time when I wake up, I try to separate. If it doesn't work, I try to get into another lapse in consciousness and try to make it deeper and deeper. I try to control myself while performing techniques. I try not to wake up from these lapses too early. So your goal is to perform as many lapses in consciousness as possible during your attempts. It means there's no difference what techniques you use. You can do whatever you want, but if you are able to experience lapses in consciousness, you are on the right side. Just try it. And actually, for most of you, it won't be a huge problem, and most of the people are able to induce these lapses in consciousness just during the first attempt. The problem is to make them deeper, deeper, and deeper, because sometimes you get a lapse in consciousness, then another, and then you fall asleep till morning. So the only thing you should train is how to make these lapses deeper and deeper, step by step. But I bet you will able to achieve them just tonight. All you need to do just to try them somehow. So, what are your goals tonight? Just make as many lapses in consciousness when you fall asleep, but this attempt shouldn't take more than 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes, 10, 15 minutes. And every time when you wake up from this lapse in consciousness, you should try to leave your body. You should try to perform the separation techniques. Getting up, roll out, levitation. During the night, upon awakenings, every time try to separate in the same techniques again, but just for 1 minute. Then when your alarm clock went off, get up for a few minutes, do some stuff like eating water, drinking water, or eating something, and then fall asleep with these lapses in consciousness again. It will be much more easier in the morning. So you have at least 2 attempts till tomorrow's lesson. When you fall asleep tonight and in the morning, at least 2, you may try at least 2 times. And the most important thing when you try the direct techniques is understanding that your consciousness is your primary enemy here. Till you are fully conscious, you cannot enter the phase, you cannot control entering the phase state. You need these lapses in consciousness because you lose your consciousness during these breaks, and that is why it is possible to enter the phase state. Actually, there's a way how we can enter the phase state maintaining our consciousness all the time, but it's a completely different story, and it's not very natural. It's this is why I cannot talk about it with you right now. But this way that we are discussing right now is a natural way. It's almost natural because it happens it is easy to achieve. So your consciousness is your enemy, and if you want to enter the phase state, you should lose it at least for a moment or 2, and only this understanding will help you to be successful when you perform the direct techniques. You should understand that you should lose your consciousness, you should control it. Because why I'm talking this? Because I bet that most of you think that the most important thing is these techniques that you try, because you think that it's not about yourself, but it's about this magic techniques that should help you to enter a lucid dream or out of body experience. No, when you try the direct techniques, it makes no difference what techniques you use, but lapses in your consciousness make the difference. So just make as many attempts as possible for tomorrow. Just try to achieve this lapses in consciousness. This lesson is free. It's for everybody. Everybody can try this. But once again, I lead these webinars to finance Project Elijah. Make these webinars, I lead them for free just to gather money for people who work with me to finance the whole idea. And we have at least two persons who needs money because they work all day always on this project. And starting from the next month, we will make 3 webinars every week. It will help you to get motivation, and you should understand that the whole idea is it's a little bit expensive for me, and I have to pay for this, and that is why the first lesson is free. But if you want to participate during the next lessons, you should register at Project Elijah. I'll give you the link, and then we will make the second and third lesson there. So you can see the link right now, and what we are going to discuss tomorrow. You should not just perform at least 2 direct attempts, but you should report them if you're going to participate during the second and the third lesson. So tomorrow, when we start the second lesson, it will start at 2 p.m. GMT time. So I will analyze your attempts. So you should perform as many attempts as possible tonight, at least 2 direct attempts, maybe some indirect attempts upon awakenings, maybe some lucid dreaming. Then you report all that happened to you. It makes no difference whether you were successful or not. You just need to report your actions. I will read it, I will analyze it, I will help you to find some mistakes, I will help you to see most popular mistakes during this method. So if you participate during the second and third lesson tomorrow and day after tomorrow, you need to report all your attempts, because today I'm just talking about this, but tomorrow I'll read your attempts, I will analyze them, and I will give you some advices how to make them better. What else we are going to discuss tomorrow? Tomorrow we are going to discuss, I'm going to teach you how to analyze by yourself these attempts, I mean direct attempts. I will explain you some important stuff that will help you to achieve much more success during these attempts, and we will talk about new techniques. So I'm glad that you are here for this day, and don't forget that you can download my practical guidebook and learn the face by yourself. But I will be very thankful if you support my project by participating in our 3-day webinar. I mean the second day and the third day, and because it will help me to make this project alive. By this moment, I have something else to say. Why we should try to enter the phase tonight? Why it is so important? It is important because it will help, if you are a newbie, it will help you to understand who you are, what our life is. Because for me personally, it is impossible to imagine my life without this experience, because I even have no words how to explain myself without the phase state. It was empty. Even if I would be very successful in this life would be empty without the phase. And because when you practice the state, you live in 2 worlds, actually, for real. It's not just beautiful words to live in 2 worlds. Actually, it is what happens. And the phase state sometimes even more real than this reality. And don't forget that you can achieve a lot of stuff there. You can, for example, you have some unattainable desires in this life. You can get all of this there in the phase. You can meet anybody there. You can do whatever you want there. And it's not just an imagination. It's a real world with real sensations. And you can use it for obtaining information or influencing physiology. All these are different topics to discuss, but to start it, you just need to perform some attempts, and analyze them. Just try and analyze. Just try. Once again, it's not a good idea to start your practice from the direct techniques, but I know that you're going to try it anyways, and you need to know something about this. And if you're able to be successful by entering the phase by the indirect techniques, it means that it's time for you to try the direct method. Once again, it is the highest level of your practice because it's quite hard, but if you manage to do this, you understand everything that happens in your brain, and you have much more perspectives in practicing the phase state. So if you want to get the most amazing thing you can experience in your life, just make attempts. Just try it tonight as many times as possible. So you may try you may make 2 direct attempts till the second lesson, when you fall asleep and in the morning. The first one when you fall asleep, and the second one after waking up, after the alarm clock, after walking a little bit, after doing some business, and then when you fall asleep, you can try the direct techniques again. So guys, once again, thank you for being here. And the second day and the third day will happen Project Elijah, and you should participate in this in Project Elijah's experiments anyways if you're an experienced practitioner, or when you become an experienced practitioner. It's all for free, but I lead these webinars just to gather money for this project, to find funds for this project. I'll try to read some questions before we go and try. So some questions from you. I'm sorry, I won't be able to read all of them. I'll hope to read just a few of them, if you don't mind. Maybe it will be useful for you. So from Delphine, eye technique can work if you mean these techniques when you need to move your eyes without opening them. Yes, it may work too. Actually, it's one of the most active techniques, and you should perform this technique when you are too sleepy. For example, you understand that in a couple of seconds or minutes you will fall asleep for sure. In this case, the more active technique, the better. And moving the eyes technique is one of the most active techniques because you have to move physically, and people may wonder how it is possible. How it's possible to move your physical arms and to get into REM sleep. Actually, REM sleep is a rapid eye movement stage. So REM sleep comes from movements of our eyes, and when we are paralyzed in REM sleep, we don't understand it. We are not aware about it because we see dreams. So when we are paralyzed, when we are in sleep paralysis state, we can move our eyes. That is why it may help us to enter the phase state. Especially, it is useful when you are too sleepy or you are afraid of falling asleep. Some other questions. Ray asked about the third option, how to trick our brain and to enter REM sleep without losing our consciousness. Guys, it's a completely different story, and it is really unnatural, and And before I share methods like this, it has to be tested a lot. They have to be tested a lot, because when we use an ordinary, normal ways to enter the phase state, enter REM sleep, there's nothing dangerous in it. But we have no idea what may happen if we choose some methods that are unnatural to our brain, because it's not I have no words to say this. It's not a play, because now we use our natural abilities. But if you try to mess with your brain, maybe it's not a good idea. That's why I cannot talk about some things, at least right now. Maybe in the future, maybe in a few months, everything will be changed. But for this moment, I have no right to talk about natural things, to natural ways to induce REM sleep, because it needs to be tested a lot. But look, you can enter the phase state easily using the indirect techniques. For example, it works. It should work almost every time you try it. I'm searching for your questions. They're just words about that we need money. Actually, you may not believe me, but for this moment, I really search for money to pay other people. I lead this webinar for free and won't get anything from this, because this project, Project Light, is so important that I can pay for this easily, whatever it costs, because we get so many useful information from it. Of course, it would be nice to get some more from this, but for this moment, I don't think about this. But maybe in the future, I will try to change something, because sometimes I have to do a lot of things to support my life and be able to finance projects like this. For example, for me, it is the fourth seminar webinar this month, this 2 weeks actually. So it's a lot of work just to finance something. And actually, it's sometimes a huge disaster for me, because I have to spend my time not on researching, not for creating scientific articles. I have to spend all my energy just to make it all alive. And for example, this webinar, actually, I enjoy this. Believe me, right now I enjoy this, but it takes my time, it takes my power, and I could make some other stuff useful for this topic. So maybe in the future something will be changed, but for this moment, that's our way. About Spanish, I'm sorry, I don't speak Spanish. I would like to, but I just have no time to learn yet another language. But 1 week, 2 weeks ago, when I led a seminar in Rome, in a few days, by the third day, actually, there was 3 days, not 2 days. For me, it was 3 days. And by the third day, I started to understand Italian, not in every word, but a lot. And sometimes when people said something for me, I was able to understand this. However, I've never talked with Italians a lot. By the way, Rome is the best city on earth, maybe. It was imagine my seminar during the breaks. I was walking around Coliseum, so it was very amazing. But about people from Spanish world, don't forget that you can download for free the Face, my practical guidebook in Spanish. It's free on my website. Just go to be4u.com and choose your language, and you will able to download La Face, or I don't remember this title in Spanish, for free and practice it, and you can get everything you want there. Of course, it would be nice to go live every week, but in this case, I will have to make less work, less other work that you need. But don't forget that other speakers, other practitioners or instructors will make free webinars at Project Elijah. So register this project. It will help you to be motivated. We're going to make free webinars every week. So experienced practitioners, other instructors, it will help you a lot. So actually you can get weekly webinars, and all of them are for free. So guys, I'm sorry I won't be able to answer all your questions, but all you need to do now, just rethink everything, go to your bed and start getting lapses in your consciousness, and then repeat it in the morning. And if you participate in Project Elijah, I will analyze your attempts. So see you tomorrow, or see you in the face state. Bye guys, see you soon.